Good afternoon everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch. My name is Robyn and thank you so much for joining in on another video. Today I am sharing with you what the garden is looking like at the start of July. Doing garden updates are one of my favourite videos to film, not only because they're beautiful and you get to have a look at all of the things that are growing, but it's also a tool for me to remember what's growing well at this time and just to give like a little bit of an update on all of the plants. So I don't think I did a garden tour for the month of June, so I thought I would kind of film one now so I don't miss this big chunk of time, which is such a productive time for southeast Queensland. As you can see behind me, the garden has absolutely blossomed and gone a little bit crazy with some of the rain that we've recently had, and everything is just growing so beautifully. We're getting so much food out of this patch behind me and the other garden area as well. So today I'm going to be giving you a tour of all of what's behind me and our other garden area as well, to give you all a little bit of an update. Make sure to grab a cup of tea or coffee for this video. I've just got a classic old black tea today and I'm going to be sipping on this while I walk through the garden and share with you what is happening and some of the favorite plants that we've been harvesting food from. All right, so first I think we'll head over to the other garden patch and I'll share with you what's going on over there. So I think definitely still a highlight of this garden patch here is the bean tower that we have. Sadly, it's kind of coming to the end with the beans that it's producing. It's not really enough to be adding to meals upstairs. Usually I'm just coming down here and picking garden snacks every time I come down. So there's not too many little beans left on there. So I was growing some blue lake beans in here and some scarlet runner beans. And I haven't actually seen any scarlet runner beans come up. And I think that's just because I planted it too late in the season. But we have had quite a few green beans Scott and I have been snacking on in the garden, and they are so delicious. So I think I am going to plant some more of these to get another harvest, probably a little bit closer to spring, just because beans tend to kind of love that warmer weather. And then next to the beans here I have planted some leeks. These are growing really well, not as good as some of the other leeks that I'll share with you. These ones just get a little bit more shade, which is why I'm filming this area first, just because the sun is setting quite fast and I don't want it to get too dark, but they just get less sunlight, so yeah, they're not kind of growing as fast. I also have some comfrey back there that I planted, and I've planted this at the very edge of the bed because comfrey can get really deep tap roots that bring up kind of all the nutrients to the surface. I'm so excited to be using comfrey. I have had so many recommendations and I finally found some comfrey, so I'm really excited to grow that and use it for kind of the medicinal properties, but also as a chop and drop around the property, and hopefully I can propagate some to put around the fruit trees as well. In this row here behind me I have my garlic growing, so I've got some elephant garlic behind over here and my Glen Large garlic over to the far end as well. The Glen Large garlic is looking amazing. Scott just recently fed it all with some pelletized chicken manure. I'm currently giving the garlic and some of the leeks about weekly to fortnightly feeds, so I'm either feeding it some worm tea or some chicken manure just to get a really good green leafy growth, which I think we're pretty much almost there now with that, and yeah, fingers crossed that the garlic grows well and starts to bulb up with these cooler temperatures overnight. There's also quite a few random little capsicums that have come up. Again, I do all organic gardening here, and sometimes my gardening style is just coming down here and having a snack in the garden and then just chucking the rest away, whatever I don't eat, and a lot of the time that means there's seeds in there, probably like this capsicum here. It's most likely what happened. So yeah, so I tend to get quite a lot of free plants around in this patch. I definitely think one of the highlights in the garden right now is the snow peas. I always forget how massive snow peas grow. I thought my trellis was going to be tall enough for these, but evidently I was very wrong, and they are just going insane. The leaves on these snow peas are so massive. And this variety here is I think it's the melting mammoth or mammoth melting snow peas, one of the two. Delicious snow peas, but just beware, you do need a tall trellis when growing snow peas. And I definitely didn't have a tall enough trellis for this, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to add a little bit of height onto here to contain these guys a little bit. In this next row here, I have a lot of my brassicas growing. I did kind of a no-dig method for this bed here, where I laid quite a lot of compost over on top of the mulch that was already here, and then put some cardboard on top of that, and I can see it starting to break down. One thing I have noticed with this bed is there are so many worms in here, which is so amazing to see. The no-dig method with gardening really does encourage soil life and activity within the soil, and I can definitely see this with this here. The broccoli are kind of a little bit slower than I would have hoped, but I'm hoping that they will pick up when the sun starts to get a little bit higher in the sky. I'm also letting a lot of this lettuce go to seed. This is my favourite lettuce to grow in southeast Queensland. It's just your usual cos lettuce, but I always like to save the seeds. The bees love the flowers as well, and I find when you're saving seeds, you're just getting all of those benefits of that seed, and that plant that grows from that seed is really naturalized to the area that it was grown in originally, or its mother plant was grown. So I really love to do that with lettuce and a lot of other greens and brassicas as well, just because their seeds are so easy to save. Also got some more capsicums in this row here, and chilies again, lots of green chilies. I think they are cayenne peppers on one of the plants that next time I'm definitely going to dry. Some of them I had some really good recommendations for that, so I'm probably just going to set some up next to our fire inside and let them dry there when we have the fire on at night, and yeah, hopefully make some chili powder because they are so spicy. You'll have to ignore some of the loud sounds around. Everyone seems to be chopping wood on a Sunday afternoon. This next row here, I have got some more snow peas that I've set up that I'm probably going to need to get some taller trellises for, but I just love snow peas so much, so I really want an abundance of those, and they grow so well at the moment. So if you're thinking about planting them, now is the time if you live in Brisbane. I've also got some marigolds in here, some mustard greens that I planted just as kind of a fill-in for some of the areas where I took the tomatoes out. In and amongst there, I've also got some alyssum, a patch of broccoli as well. I think they are the purple sprouting broccoli that I've planted in there. Also got some calendula seedlings and some sweet kind of, I think they're called banana peppers or small little sweet capsicums, and also some native everlasting daisy as well. That is one of my favourite flowers, and I'm super excited to see the flowers pop up in spring. And then in this patch behind here, this is where I spread out my compost. I had my compost bin in here, and I do the in situ compost method where I compost everything in one place and then lift it off and spread it out. And that's what I've done here behind me. I've got a really nice big space here that I might be planting either Cape gooseberries or another kind of native raspberry around here. Not sure yet what I want to plant, but I have a lot of space. And this is kind of a little bit more of my perennial bed where I've got some Thai basil, lots of different herbs and flowers, a pepino melon, some Lagos spinach, and a row of pawpaws. Some really sad looking eggplants that I really need to take out of the ground. They just weren't getting enough sun. Eggplants love full sun, but this gets a lot of shade in winter, and just some herbs as well. Right, and now I'm surrounded by lots of bees and pollinators, so I'm going to try and not move too much. But this is my row of pigeon pea, and they're all flowering at the moment, which the bees are loving, that I'm not going to get too close to. But they're just kind of coming to the end of flowering where the pods are forming after the flowers. So I'm definitely going to be saving probably, hundreds of seeds from these few plants. I always like to save my pigeon pea seeds because I use this as a chop and drop, and I'm planning on planting a lot more soon to plant around the garden. I've also managed to tidy up my potting area behind me here. So I have a really nice big space to be planting all of my spring plants and spring veggies and flowers that I'm so excited to plant. I've kind of made another little makeshift bench next to it, so just I have some more room for a lot of the plants and seeds that I'm sowing. I've got quite a few succulents over there that I'm just letting them all grow a little bit more until I am making a little succulent garden up near the front of the house. But yeah, we've just come out of lockdown, so I haven't been able to go to the shops and buy some more soil, but I'm definitely going to do that over the next few days, and yeah, definitely do a video on what I'm growing for spring as well. All right, this garden here behind me has definitely changed since last time I've showed you. Pretty much the majority of it is planted now. There's one in particular thing that I am super excited for that I'll wait till towards the end that I'll show you, something that has popped up in the garden this week. But what I'm going to do is go row by row of what's in this patch and just give a quick kind of overview of what's in each, and then what the plans are for this space as well. Okay, so in the first bed here we have more of the Glen Large garlic. I just had so much garlic, so decided to do another patch here, and this is growing quite well. I think it probably is lacking in a little bit of nitrogen, so we've fed it again with some chicken manure, and hopefully it will get a boost of that and from all the rain we've been having. But it's looking pretty good. It just needs to put on a little bit more growth to catch up with the other one. And then behind the garlic I have my cute little patch of calendula flowers that are just starting to bud up here. I can start to see the first few ones, and I'm going to be making my calendula salve out of these when they flower. So I'm so excited to make that. And then behind them I have a big patch of cornflower. There's a few stock in there as well, but I'm just really excited to harvest all of the cornflowers that come out of that patch. I think there'll be a bright blue, but there could be some pink ones in there as well. We'll have to wait and see. And then moving on from that bed, in the bed next to it, I have another patch of calendula. We've got some leeks in the middle, and these leeks here, I've never grown leeks this big in my life. I'm so impressed with how they're going, and they just seem to be loving all of the nutrients that they're getting. I kind of forget that leeks and onions and garlic, they need a lot of nitrogen to put on a lot of the big green leafy growth so that they can have stronger kind of insides and the bulbs as well. So it's really happy here, next to some more cos lettuce that we've been thinning and allowing the gaps for the bigger lettuce to grow. We've harvested most of the radishes, and we've still got some rocket in here, so I'm going to probably re-sow some radishes as well, just because they're a really great kind of companion plant to the leeks, and they grow so fast as well. And then the bed over from that, I have lots more broccoli. These ones are definitely growing a little bit faster than the ones in the other garden patch, just because they get a lot more sun here. So I think a lot of these are Sisio, I think they're called, or they are a sprouting broccoli. Not too sure which one. But around the broccoli I have planted some snapdragons and also a lot of Swiss chard, and on the end I have some gorgeous nasturtiums as well, that we've been harvesting the leaves and adding to salads. I'm yet to see some flowers on there, but I don't think they will be too far off. And then moving along over here, we've got all of our beetroots that we're growing. I think these are just the Detroit red globe beetroot, I think they're called. Next to those I've got a patch of onions, and then quite a lot of greens that I have planted. So I've got some more chard, also some snapdragons that I've planted in and amongst here to hopefully get some beautiful flowers sometime soon. And also quite a lot of tatsoi as well. Tatsoi is something I would definitely recommend planting now, just because the bug pressure is probably the lowest that it's going to be all year, and your tatsois and bok choys tend to really get affected by bugs. But right now my tatsoi is looking very nice, and I'm so excited to add that to pretty much all of the dishes that we eat: stir fries, curries, pastas, anything like that. I'm really loving all of the different angles that I'm able to get in the garden right now, just because there is so much green, just so awesome to see. In this patch here we have a lot of greens. We eat a lot of salads, and Scott makes the best salad dressing ever. So that entices us to eat more salads. But I love eating fresh greens and lettuce and corn salad and spinach from the garden. So that's what a lot of this bed is here. We've also planted some more broccoli, and then at the very end, our carrots. Never grown carrots that look this good at this stage. They are really, really loving all of the moisture and the food that we've been feeding them. I've thinned them out so I know that they'll get to a really, really good size, and I'm hoping in the future I can do an epic carrot harvest. Now, what I've been waiting to share, my potatoes have finally come up. It has been 3 weeks and I was very nervous that I wouldn't see potatoes in my garden. I was convinced that I had planted them too deep, had a little bit of a meltdown. Scott reassured me it would be fine, and it's fine. We have potatoes growing. There's only a few that have popped up yet, but that's fine. There's still green growth there. So hopefully majority of the potatoes will come up. I think it was just a little bit cold when we planted them. Like, we have had quite a few nights where it's dropped to like 10 degrees. I've woken up and the temperature has been 1 degree multiple mornings, with it feeling like kind of like -1 degrees, which is not very common for here at all. But I think that was just a minor setback for some of those potatoes in terms of their growth. But now that they've popped up and the sun has come out and we're having a little bit more warmer days, I'm sure they'll be fine, fingers crossed. But now that they have popped up, I'm going to be planting my other potatoes, the red variety. I think they're called Otway Reds, in the bed over from those, just to give it a little bit of a staggered growth, just so we're not harvesting all of the potatoes at the same time. But at the other end of the potato bed, I have planted quite a few more carrots. I've got another carrot bed and another radish bed full of my favorite radish, which is the watermelon radish. So beautiful, and I'm really excited to harvest some of those. And this just gets a little bit more shade back here, so that's why I thought I'll plant those ones. They don't need a lot of full sun when they're just seedlings, but as the sun does get a little bit higher and the days get a little bit longer, they should be fine back here. And then we come to the end of the garden area, and I have planted some more onions down here. The bare patch over there is where all those potatoes are going to go, and on the other side of me I've just filled in some of the seedlings that I had left over. So there's a few broccoli and greens and onions planted there, but this massive bed at the base here is going to be where a lot of my spring flowers are going to be. I'm aiming on having just a massive flower patch that I can use for kind of cut flowers for the house, and just give a little bit more flowers around for the bees and all of the pollinators. So the plan is to probably plant a lot of zinnias here and more everlasting daisies. So I really need to get those started and go out and get some potting mix, which I'm probably going to do tomorrow, and then film another video this week on all of these seeds that I'm starting as well. Alright, so that is what the garden is looking like at the start of July. I do have a few other different garden beds up near the pool. They're not really doing that much at the moment, just because they pretty much get full shade up there in winter. But I am probably going to start some more tomatoes up there, and I've got some greens planted up there as well. They're more of a summer kind of garden area, but we still do have food pretty much wherever we can grow it on this property. So if you've made it this far, awesome job. I think this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, but I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and thank you for all of the support that I've gotten recently on the channel. It's just so awesome to see regular people watching these videos and commenting and building a little bit of a community on here. I just love the gardening community. Everyone's just so lovely, and it's just such a safe and happy environment to be in. So thank you for that. If you do have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. I always reply to most of the comments that I can get to. I do definitely read all of them though. And let me know how your garden's going at the moment. Are you in really hot weather at the moment in the Northern Hemisphere? Is your garden looking similar to this? Or are you in the depths of winter in southern areas of Australia? Let me know. I would love to have a conversation down there. Anyway, I'm gonna go and and drink my cup of tea, because as usual with these videos it ends up getting very cold and not the most enjoyable, but I am going to just relax in the garden and enjoy my Sunday afternoon. I hope you're all having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next video, happy gardening everyone. Bye!